All right. Well, thank you guys for attending the four pillars of real estate marketing. As I was saying, this is one of the things that I believe created a very solid foundation for my own business, and one of the things that I really strive for. Okay, when I was doing exactly what you guys are doing, when I was a real estate agent out there hunting up business, and now something that I try and teach and preach to my friends and agents that I know. Okay, is that how do you build a funnel of dream clients? And it's a difficult thing to do. I mean, I've bought ads through Zillow and Trulia before, and I've marketed in a number of different ways. But when you find those really good clients, those ones that you can easily talk to and they trust you, and they listen to your advice, and you connect. Those are the clients that I think we would all like to have. I mean, would you agree?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
moving here through it on slide two. So in this webinar, by the time we reach the end, you're going to most likely think one of these three things. You're going to either think I'm full of bull, okay, or you're going to like what I show you and you're going to attempt some of these steps on your own, or you might ask about how I could help you. And I do that with agents who both work with me, and I'm beginning to explore doing this to non-Remax agents, but I don't know. You'll see where I'm at with that. You guys are kind of a test group for me. I've not done a Zoom webinar like this before yet. You are my first group of non-Remax agents to do this with. I've done this with friends. I've done this agents who work with me. Okay, but I'm going to show you guys one of my real secrets here. And the last thing is I call it the Agent Uplift Program. Whoops, the Agent Uplift Program. And that's a strategy that I do to help the agents to kind of look at your entire digital footprint and what it's doing for you or what holes that it has. So, how do I know what I know? Okay. This is a history of me over the last couple of decades. Okay. I wasn't always this handsome, good looking guy that you see before you today. At one time, I was young and fumbling with life. Okay. I started my sales career as a Jeep salesman in Orange County in the late 1980s. In 1992, I quit that and went into the book business. Okay. My family was in the book business for years and I did it myself. In 1994, I took that business online. And my dad gave me, because I was partners with my dad in this brick and mortar bookstore downtown Palm Springs in those years. And I go to my dad and I tell him, look, I want to spend a couple grand. I'm going to buy some computers. Amazon is starting to make it in the news. And I want to give this whole internet thing a try. And my dad gave me some great advice. He said, Eric, you're not that smart. He just kind of let it hang there, like only a parent can do. You're not that smart. And I'm like, no, 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 really, I'm going to do it. So I do it and I try it. And it did very well. I grew to managing a database of about 30,000 items online, was selling 100 to 200 books a week, okay, over the internet, and had staff people working for me, both in the store and then helping me with shipping and stuff. A lot of high school kids, 20 somethings, working for me in those days. But it was very cutting edge in the mid 1990s to be doing business like that online. And then I figured out that I wanted to have a family, and this little thing called health insurance never seemed to get paid, okay, when I was a single guy, even though I was making money at it. And it did allow me to buy my home, which I still own in Deepwell. In the late 90s, they were selling for considerably less than where they are now, and I'm grateful that I could do it. But I didn't have great credit or anything. I had a real good realtor who I ended up marrying. Um, but it was mainly because I had the internet business and I did that. And in those days, the banks were more favorable to making a loan to an internet business. And so I was lucky. I'll take luck any day of the week. But when I wanted to have a family, I gave up the bookstore and I went to work for Marriott Corporation selling timeshare. And that worked pretty good. It gave me a taste of really making some money in my life, okay, in those years. It was huge, okay, for the difference it made in me and what I could provide for my family and Tracy and the kids and that there. But then in about 2007, it all came to a halt, right? You remember when the economy fell apart, okay? And I want you to think about that, about what happened at that point and how a lot of us had to transition in our life. And so one day, I like to say Marriott and I reached a mutual decision. They said, Eric, we don't want you here. And I said, okay. I boxed up my cubicle of stuff and I left. And at that point, I played Farmville for about a month as I figured out what I wanted to do. And then finally, Tracy said, why don't you partner up with me and sell real estate? You already got a license. We got a license to sell timeshare. So I said, okay. And I started doing that. And I applied a lot of the things that I learned in the bookstore, okay, to general real estate sales. Because I had learned in the bookstore, like some basic stuff, some web design. Social media hadn't grown up in 1994, but by 2009, it had become a serious thing in everybody's life. And I understood the basics of that. Digital marketing, I had a pretty good idea. I understood databases and how that could be applied to it, which allowed me to think about CRMs, okay, that we all use in our business, and how to work with a clientele base that is our sphere. So I applied a lot of that stuff I learned in the early days of the internet to selling real estate. So instead of selling $5 to $20 items, I'm now selling $100,000 to $1 million items. Wish I could do a couple of hundred of those a week like I did with books, but still, we grew to about 50 to 60 deals a year, Tracy and I, while we were doing this. And these days, she and I'm the broker, we're both the owners at Remax Desert Properties. So just a quick synopsis, and I do believe that finding the right person in your life is significant. I believe that we need a healthy mind, body, spirit attitude towards life in order to do it. I don't like to overwork myself. I sometimes work weekends. I don't love to work evenings, but I'll tell you, we all reach a season in our life when we're hitting a stride that you don't want to turn off the spigot. And so I can understand that whether you have the need for one more sale or who can say no to one more sale, that when you find that, you do it. Okay. Now, in the early days of my development of who I am as a salesperson these days, but in those days, in the 90s, I'm reading books at those times, and I believe in constantly self-educating. I don't wait for somebody else to tell me what I have to read. I'll listen to anybody's advice, okay, when it comes. But I'll tell you, I've always got at least one book going. Right now, I've got a couple of them going, so, and I do enjoy fiction too. I love sci-fi. I love a good murder mystery, but I've constantly got a business book of some sort going. And in the 1990s, I was looking for ways to automate. So while I was figuring out ways to make that website productive, I wanted to do it with the least amount of staff, the least amount of work on myself. So that book by Bill Gates, Business at the Speed of Thought, really helped me to formulate strategies of how to do business online and to look at websites. And well, he talked largely about city size, county size, hospitals. He's looking at bigger organizations. I'm applying many of those concepts to a mom and pop bookstore that's trying to transition to a digital enterprise. Okay, the General Motors book there was a great one on just how to set up production lines, and In Search of Excellence was a really good one on different strategies of business. A lot of that there was written in about 1980, and it was dealing with how American corporations were looking at Japanese corporations and how they seek to get advice from the workers so that management can create a better system. So it was a lot of those sorts of applications in it. Very interesting books for me. I don't know if you guys read a lot, but I love reading. You'll find a lot of it. That all really helped for Tracy and I to become a very successful husband and wife team as I began to apply those business of my internet knowledge to our earliest days of she and I partnering up. And we ended up, I mean, up until 2013, we were one of the better agents. I won't say we were the best. Remax has a very strong core group of agents. They're all very, I call them lone wolves. They're all very independent. There are some teams at Remax, but mostly it's individuals or partners, okay, about that level. There's a few that go beyond it, but that's the majority. In about 2013, Remax changed brokers in those days. Tracy wasn't thrilled with the new guy. So, happy wife, happy life. We tried out Coldwell Banker. We tried out Keller Williams. In both of those, we were in the top 10 agents during the time that we were there, but neither one seemed to be a great fit. We went to HomeSmart, lasted a couple of years there. And in 2016, we were the number three, okay, of about 300 agents at HomeSmart. And then it was right about the summer of 2016 or spring of 2016 that we got asked if we would like to buy a Remax franchise which we did. So we've been the broker and owners of that since 2017, at which point I began to train and teach the principles that I'm going to share with you guys today to the agents that I've known. I've also continued my reading. These are some of my more recent books that I've read in the last 6 months. And they really, I tell you, they've helped me sharpen my skills when it comes to focusing on digital marketing at today's level. All three of these books were written in the last year. So they're very, very current. And I read websites and magazine articles and all those sorts of things too. I listen to a lot of YouTube blogs, vlogs, I should say, all those things. But these books, they're regular reading for me. So let me ask you guys, think about there I am in 2009. I've got a mortgage. I've got 8 kids. I've got a wife. I got a dog. I got a couple of goldfish. I've got tons of bills, okay, and everything. I'm walked into a room at Marriott Corporation and told, we don't want you to work here anymore. And all I got to defend myself with is, okay. If that was done to you, if you were suddenly forced to absolutely restart from scratch, okay, or for whatever reason, maybe your bank's calling your second on your mortgage, whatever it is, okay, and you were suddenly forced to increase your production in 30 days or less, how would you do it? You ever thought about that? Because oftentimes that's the situation that we're in until our business hits a peak where we're fattening up, the family trust account on it. You got to think, how am I going to do it? And to do it in a short run is an incredible turnaround. So when we're done, remember one of the few options you might feel with that agent uplift program. But let me ask you a question. What's the first thing someone does when they meet you, they like you, and they hear you're in real estate? I think about like at a supermarket is probably the top thing. You meet somebody, you talk to them online, maybe you play tennis, you're over at Demuth Park, church, I don't care where it is. But you run into somebody, you end up having a good conversation. They ask you for your card, right? Oh, you're in real estate? They take your card. Okay. But if they're serious about real estate, what's the next thing they do? Right? They go home, they sit on their own computer, and they Google you. So, how do you make them really feel confident that you're the right person? Because this is somebody who is at the warm lead level, right? You've met them, they liked you, you had a good conversation about real estate in general. You probably didn't have your computer, you didn't whip your phone out and start pulling out comps, but you had that good initial first impression. They take your card and they Google you. This is a very important step in anybody's marketing efforts, okay? Because you need to be able to reinforce with them what happens. So, Giovanni, Patrick stepped away for just a second, and I know Maria and how she would turn out on this, but I'm going to ask you, can I have your permission right now to do a Google search on you and see what turns up?
Yes.
Okay.
Might not like what you find though.
That's okay. We all have to start somewhere. And if this was already working for you, you probably wouldn't be here. Those are the general words that somebody usually searches an agent with.
Right.
Would you agree? Now, they might put the name of your brokerage or something because they've got your card, but
Right.
whatever it is, they're going to do this. Hey, at least you got something showing up there, Giovanni. I've done this and gotten worse. So they pull up your LinkedIn, they pull up your Facebook, you're on Instagram, so you're working some stuff. You're on realtor.com, that's good. Apollo.io, I'm not sure about that one, but it's something real estate oriented, real estate agents. Anahuac, did I say that right?
Yeah, pretty close.
Okay. I'll tell you that's not bad, Giovanni. You got 9 out of 10 on page 1. Okay, I'm going to show you ways to make that even stronger. 9 out of 10. Second page, you're showing up in there a little bit. There's a couple. These are probably old listings of yours that are on, yeah, on Zillow and stuff. That could still be a positive experience for somebody doing a search on you. Okay, now let me show you mine. Okay, and I'm not bragging here. I just want to show you the level that I try to push it to. Okay, I'm going to swing this over just a little. Okay, this over here is something that you can have for you. That's a Google business page. Okay, realtor.com. These are all profiles that I have. There's some of my social media, realestatebook.com, zillow.com, a YouTube channel, even a YouTube video. Which one is it? Oh, the Agent Uplift program. Okay. And that's on page 1. So 100% of page 1. If we go to the next page, oh, my wife snuck in there as one of them. She has a Yelp on it there. 3, a book that I wrote. 9 out of 10. Oh, actually, no, that's me too. That's a page on one of the celebrity homes I wrote or did a video on. So page 3, I start to lose it. So on page 3, I can see a Paul Kaplan, whoever Scott Wilson is. So 19 out of 20 in the first 2 pages and maybe about half of page 3. Okay, on that there. And that's kind of the goal, okay, of what we want to do. The more we can make that stronger, the better when somebody goes home and Googles you, do they feel that you're the guy or you're the gal, whatever it is. Hi there, Dan. Thanks for coming. So they do a Google search. This is what I call the 4 pillars of marketing. Okay, right here. Scoot that up just a hair. Okay, now on the left-hand column, this is what a national brand brings. And while I've done Remax, I'll tell you, if you're with Keller Williams or Berkshire Hathaway or, well, not HomeSmart, but they don't have as much. But one of the big national brands, Coldwell Banker, okay, they would have something like this, okay? And then it's how well you use it. The next columns, as you look at this white one here, those are the major non-branded real estate websites. Over here in the blue column, we've got the social media. Okay, open houses aren't happening as much, but they're coming back. They will. And then over here on the right-hand side in the gray column, those are the areas where you either got to put in a greater concentration of money or time, okay, to work those. They require a little bit of effort. But these are what I call the 4 pillars of real estate marketing. And anybody who's going to be a real estate agent should look at this list and make themselves as bulletproof as they can. Because if, we've all seen images before where you build a pyramid and at the top you've either got a dollar sign or you, okay, and it's what you build underneath you to do it. Well, these are the building blocks of that real estate or of that marketing strategy. Once you have these in place, at that point you can create additional marketing channels where you might be more strategic or pinpoint, okay, what you're going to do. But if you don't have these things there, if somebody likes you and they do that Google search, they aren't going to feel as confident in making that final decision to push themselves over the edge to make that warm phone call to you. Okay, now, so these are the ones, since we're talking about lead generation here, okay, that Remax offers, but I don't want to make this about Remax. I want to make this just about as if we've lost everything, okay? So let's remove anything to do with any national brand, okay? And remember that we're pretending that we've lost everything, all of our money, our past clients. We have to start over from scratch. So let's start with the major non-branded real estate websites, okay? And on these here, you start with actually your local MLS. wherever you have your original profile that you set up when you joined your multiple listing service. And you want to look at your bio, you want to look at your picture. It'll definitely have your license on it. It'll have your contact information, a phone and email. It'll have all those things. But that is one of your Google search results that will appear if somebody ever searches for you, and it's usually the first one that any of us create. Excuse me. Okay, so you start with that one there. And then you look at these sites like realtor.com and Trulia and Zillow, again, that there. And I only recommend you sign up for the free agent profile, okay? But you do it on all the top real estate websites. You can even do it like we saw that one, realestateagent.com. There's HomeLight. You might do Hot Pads, whatever you can, okay, and sign up for it. As many as you can. I say these 4 or 5 here are the most important, and 3 of them, 3, there we go, have to turn my hand the right way so it hits the camera. 3 of them happen when you build one profile. Zillow owns Trulia and owns realestate.com. So when you build Zillow, you get those other 2. Okay, but that gives you 5 search results on that first page, plus you've got your MLS board, right? So now we're up to 6. I throw in the car organization and zip form simply because while we're doing it, you might as well fill it out. It really doesn't turn up in a search result, but it does mean that your paperwork later on is ready and you don't have to change that later on. Now, just copy and paste your bio from your MLS profile. You'll have I oftentimes will open up 2 windows when I'm doing this with an agent and helping them through it. Let's open up your MLS or wherever is your personal favorite best bio, and you have 2 windows open on your computer. We take that one, copy and paste. Go to Trulia, copy paste, or go to Zillow, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, and that's it. But you do that and you build it out, and you do that with every one. You can do it in an evening at this point if you wanted to, and be done with these, and know that within a few days, because it sometimes takes Google a couple of days, before they index everything. But right there, you've got at least half of a Google search page with just you. Now, on some of these, you need to make sure you hook up your IDX feed, which is a little more complicated. You got to make sure you get it right. It's usually whatever is your login number for your account, whether it's PSRAR or CDAR. Like mine's GPS.D.79286. Okay, that's my CDAR member number that I do when I'm logging in. It's usually just that. Okay, but it's one of those things that's worth the extra effort because as you get listings and as you get sales, many of these sites will show your business activity. So when somebody searches for you, you do it and it gets shown up and it makes you stronger. Secondly, you want to seek reviews. And I'll tell you, I find it's easiest with Zillow. They are the juggernaut, okay, of this industry of the non-branded sites. They make it very easy to send a link out to your clients. And when you first set this up, go through your top 5 or 10. Get yourself a handful of reviews. Go to the clients who you already know loved you, even if it's been a year or 2, okay, since you sold them. They'll remember you and they'll still like you. It'll give you one more reason to call them up and keep them within your sphere of influence. They're not going to say, man, you sold me a piece of, dog poop here or anything. I can't believe you're calling me, because I'll tell you, you're not going to call that person. Okay. If you have one of those out there, it's not that we shouldn't call them, because we should try to make things right, but let's just look for the low hanging fruit. Okay. Right now, and make this as easy as possible, and make sure that anybody who fills it out gives you 4 or 5 stars out of 5. Okay, because you get a handful of those or 10 of those in there, how much stronger does that make your profiles? And as you start incorporating this more and more into everything you do, you might hit them up with other sites or a Yelp or something like that. But personally, I just ever did the Zillow reviews. Okay, and it was enough. People found them. Also, when you do these, make sure and link your social media websites, your social media feeds, your personal website. Many agents have a personal website and your company website. And I'll tell you why. Okay, it's not just me as a broker here saying, hey, make sure and include your company website. Although I do get some benefit from that if you work for me, because it's a mutual benefit. The advantage is when Google ranks search results, one of the key factors that they weigh in is how many other websites and how strong of those other websites are that link back to you. So as you're building out these profiles, do links to your social media, do links to your personal website, to your company website, and then on those profiles that you have on those, link back to your profiles that you have in as many of these places as you can. And that way you're cross promoting yourself when you're doing this, because there are not very many websites stronger than Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and YouTube, right? And your company website, or whatever it is. Those are all extremely strong sites. So the more you can cross promote, the stronger you are, the higher you float up. It'll help you organically in many ways, okay, with your feed and your being found online. So that's the what we're going to call the first pillar, because it's the first one we've really addressed of our major real estate websites. Oh, sorry, just going to fix this real quick. Nope, I can't. Okay. Going on. Here. Now let's look at social media. Okay, because we're all doing social media to some degree. Most people are not doing it to the level that I'm showing right here, but these are the main social medias. Now, some people might say, what about TikTok, or what about Pinterest, or some of the other stuff? Yeah, wherever you're finding your friends congregate, you should have a social media feed and trying to reach out to them somewhere there. These are the ones that have worked the best for me. Excluding Twitter, I tried Twitter and for me it just didn't work. I have heard success stories about Twitter. I'm just not that guy. So I'm not going to touch on that one a lot. But let's start off with Facebook. That's where social media usually starts. Most of us have a personal Facebook page. Okay. And I encourage you, as you take a look at social media, don't bite off too much. It's better to do one or two platforms well than to try to take on 5 or 6 and not really being posting with any consistency to it. So YouTube for me was always the most successful channel that I ever did. And I look at each of these as inbound marketing streams. Okay. I also refer to it sometimes as, oh gosh, I'm forgetting the word right now, but it's sort of outreach, okay, that I'm doing on it. A broadcast marketing. That's what I call this here, is broadcast marketing, because basically what we're doing is, hey, I'm selling this, I've got that for sale, look at this award I got, did you see this here, do you know how many homes are for sale right now, here's the average price point. We're just doing these postings, right, that we're putting out there and hoping that somebody likes something and they comment on it or make a phone call or whatever. And that is the strategy. We can, on a future meeting, I could talk with you about strategies of what we post that creates the most comments and stuff. But right now, I just want to get you used to picking some channels, what to do it. I will tell you though, YouTube for me was the absolute best. I found that after I had somewhere between 20 and 30 videos of homes for sale, and I was just going out and finding vacant properties, go direct. I would choose within a certain market. For me, it was in Palm Lakes condominiums in Palm Desert. And I would go shoot whatever is vacant, go direct as they came on the market. And by the time a couple of months had passed and I had 20 or 30 of them that was for sale in there, I would get phone calls from somebody sitting at home saying, hey, Eric, yeah, I was just watching your video on YouTube about that condo for sale in Palm Lakes. It's about 100 grand. You know the one? I kid you not. I get phone calls from people and they talk to me like they were a friend, like they were a referral calling me, like they already knew me. And I would say to them, I've got a bunch of those on YouTube right now. Could you do me a favor and like, what's the kitchen like? Is there a fireplace? Is there tile or carpet? I'd have to get them to define a little bit about what they were seeing. And they say, oh yeah, it's the one with the yellow kitchen with the black countertops. It's got that fireplace in the living room. It's a second floor unit. And I go 9 times out of 10, I go, okay, yep, I know the one. Well, I got to tell you, I'm sorry to say that one has sold. It was a fantastic deal, as what probably prompted you to call me, right? And they say, yeah, okay, yeah, I saw, yeah, I can understand. I say, but tell you what, you caught me at a disadvantage. Right now, I'm literally at Walmart buying dog food with my kids running around me, trying to squeeze the phone on my shoulder while I run my credit card, okay, to pay my bill. Would you mind? I see your phone number is, and I look at my phone and read it back to him. Would you mind if I give you a call in about an hour or so when I'm back at my computer? And I promise you, I will find you the best deal in there and see if that works for you. 100% of the time, they would say yes. They would take my phone call an hour later and pick up. And I was selling 3 to 5 deals a year just off that one channel with $0 marketing cost, right? I mean, we all have a cell phone. It's got a camera on it. If you've got a Gmail account, you've got a YouTube account. All you got to be willing to do is go shoot the video and do it consistently. And that will generate some business. Now, I picked an inexpensive condo. I was a little gun shy in those days about going after a higher end, but I'll tell you, it really doesn't matter the price point. It can be 300, 500, 750, $1 million. It doesn't matter. There are enough buyers out there, regardless of the market you choose, that you will get some inbound calls. I do believe that if you go on the lower end, the people on the other side who are seeing it have a greater need for a realtor. In my doing marketing, I find that the higher the price points become, the more likely they are to have a relative or a friend who's already in the business, and they're probably going to want to give the business to them. So if you go for kind of a median home price or lower, they're more grateful to have a knowledgeable realtor who does nothing but this, and they already like you. They called you, and it was a warm, friendly phone call. So go after whatever you like, but I think there's a higher closing percentage for the amount of calls you get if you keep it at a moderate price or below. Okay, with this. LinkedIn. What am I doing here? Oops. There we go. LinkedIn, I see, is a very strategic friendship, okay, for doing that. I don't know if you guys have played with LinkedIn at all, but you can go on LinkedIn and put on profiles of people that you want to invite to be your friends. Like when I first did it on LinkedIn, and these days I have about 12,000 friends on LinkedIn. I primarily went after realtors, right? I'm a broker, I'm trying to recruit and that there. But then after I did that for a while, and I picked up 1,000 or 2,000 realtors in the Southern California area. But after that, I said, well, let's just put in Palm Springs. I was like, let's go for buyers too. And how about Palm Springs nurses, Palm Springs firemen, Palm Springs police officers? What about, let's go high end. What if I put in CEO? What if I put in president? What about vice president, director, superintendent, supervisor? Okay, I would put in these profile words and then just sit there and go friend, 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 friend. 12,000 friends later, I got a pretty significant LinkedIn following. Okay, many times they want to sell me things, but some of the most successful Coachella Valley realtors, I'll tell you, have made LinkedIn their number one social media. And if you work it, it's as good or better than anyone else. Now, the Google business page, I got to tell you, it's either number one or two, depending on how you look at it. And it's extremely important. Okay, and you should Google the phrase how to set up a Google business page and make yourself do it one day soon. Okay, it'll take you an hour or two. Okay, and every now and then you want to update it. You'll want to put some pictures on it. Okay, Because when somebody Googles you, and we're building out enough profiles right here, realize we've got four new ones. We had 6 on the last page. We're up to that first full page right now with what I talked about. This adds that right-hand column where it gives you like your own advertisement. And when that pops up, you are the biggest thing on the page, bigger even than the people who pay for advertisements on the page. Because sometimes when you search your own name, you'll pull up a Paul Kaplan or a Brad Schmidt or a Valerie Newman or whatever. I mean, think of some of the giants, okay, that we have out here that we're all competing against. Those people pay for ads so they can turn out above you when somebody searches even your name. But your Google business page is the tallest, biggest thing on the page in the upper right-hand corner and whatever pictures that go with it. So that's how you beat the advertisings of others. So I really recommend you do a Google business page. Open houses will come back. Okay, I believe open houses are an important part, but it's not really building our profiles. It's just something I talk to agents about here. And if we look at the left-hand side here, make sure you post personal items too. Okay, it's very important that the people out there see that you're a real person. And it really doesn't matter what you're into. I don't care if you're into hiking, mountain biking, water skiing, dune buggies, if you like dogs or cats. You could be into macrame or clip art. You know, it doesn't matter what it is. There is somebody out there who will like you for who you are. They will admire you for putting yourself out there, and you will attract those types of people, which in essence is our dream client, right? Isn't our dream client? They didn't have to be an exact match to who we are, but there was some similarity, and they respected your opinion, and they were easy to talk to. Well, that happens the same way that when we all met our spouse, okay, and we sat there with them over a cup of coffee or a dinner or something like that when we weren't trying to drag them out on the dance floor, and they said, "You like chocolate ice cream? I like chocolate ice cream. You like going to the movies? I like going to the movies." You know, and we did all of that. Well, with your clients, it's a little bit of mini dating. And you won't find those clients who like the same things you do unless you broadcast who you are. And show yourself on a mountain back looking at a nice view, you know, a mountaintop looking at a nice view. Show yourself trying to do that third or 10th pull up or whatever it is that you can do, you know, in life. People will admire you for just being honest. And that's where we go into the share the good, the bad, and the ugly. When I would do my videos, I would literally walk through with my phone and say something like, "I don't know what that smegma is under the sink there, but we better get a trained professional to inspect that. And there's a crack up there in that one ceiling. We need some drywall patch on that. And that doggy door looks like a grizzly bear tried to fight its way through it. I don't know if you have a dog or not, but you may want to spruce up that." You know, whatever it is, throw those comments in. At the same time, you're saying, "That's a beautiful view. That's a nice pool. Look at that living room. I could see myself sitting there reading a book, you know, watching my favorite Netflix." You know, talk to them in normal terms, but show the bad too. Because the most professional videos out there don't. The most professional videos have a hired company and they only show it under fantastic light with the best angle, and they ignore the fact that there's an entire rat's nest of telephone poles in one corner of the backyard, and they don't show the cracks in the driveway, and they don't show any of that stuff. This is why people will appreciate you, that you will be an honest realtor, and they're looking for that. When they find that guy or gal, they don't forget. That's the person they want to show. You ever had somebody who you give them a list of 3 inspectors and you say, "Well, this one's pretty good. I like him. This one's all right. I put this one in my mix, but you know, I don't love that guy. He's oftentimes very hard on the house." You ever say that to a client? Which one do they pick? They pick the guy who's hard on the house because they think, I see you laughing there, Dan, because they think that they're getting a more honest opinion. So don't beat up the house. We do want to sell it, but be honest and they will appreciate it. Okay, don't be yourself. Don't be afraid to show yourself on camera or video or whatever it is. It doesn't matter your body type. It doesn't matter how good looking you are or how ugly we are or whatever. Might have a mole. Who knows? I've got white hair. I wish I was young and thinner. I'll tell you, I've got little bit of a pear-shaped body these days, and I've got way too many wrinkles. There are far more attractive realtors out there, but I still get phone calls on my videos. And these days I have about 400 of them out there. Okay. You do this over time, and people, it doesn't matter your looks. I used to say this when I was dating, but we all meet somebody and we like them to some degree. And we all start with a certain degree of beauty or handsomeness in the world. It doesn't matter. Some people are better looking than others. We all fit in wherever we fit in. But over time, as we get to know the people that are important to us and that we really care about, those people generally get better and better looking. We generally are, or at least more charismatic, it might be a better word to put on it. Be honest about yourself, put yourself out there. You will find people like you. And the longer they listen to you, because they will sit at home and watch 3 or 4 of your videos one day. The people who find you will do it. Think about when you binged on a Netflix show that you hadn't watched before, but you discover it in season 3. And then you go back and you watch all of them, right? Okay. And over 2 weeks, you watch 30 shows, something like that, and you binge watch them. We've all done it. Well, they will do the same thing on your social media posts, especially your videos. And somewhere around that 3rd or 4th video, if they've watched that much, they've committed to you. They like you, and they'll see their spouse come home, because they probably did this at home when nobody was around, okay, and nobody could stop them or tell them, what are you doing? And their spouse comes home from the end of the day at work or being at the supermarket or wherever they are, and they turn and go, hey, honey, look at this. This guy's kind of an idiot, but he's a nice idiot. Okay. You should check him out. He's showing a property like we kind of talked about the other week. And that's how the conversation starts. And then they do a Google search on you. And the spouse sees, hey, this person's really selling real estate. They show up all over the place. Okay, there's his number. Let's give him a call. If you do that, I'll tell you, we've just added another 3 to 5 deals. Okay, maybe more. I've seen some people do this better than I even do. And if we do this with multiple channels, we might be in the 5 or 10 range. And I haven't touched on your sphere or your advertising, or if you're buying leads, or if your broker's providing leads, or if you belong to a church and you get them from there, or whatever. We have our other angles too that we generate business from. All I'm talking about is making yourself strong on your profiles and make yourself strong in your social media. That's it so far, right? So far, have I touched on anything that really cost you any money?
No.
Nope. You might one day buy a better cell phone so you get a better camera. I just did that. Okay. But really, if you saw the camera, if you went back to the first video I ever shot, and it's been 10 years now since I did, I was using probably $100 handy cam, okay, that we used to have in the day before cell phones had a better camera. It's fuzzy, it's grainy, and people were calling me on it. Okay. So whatever you've got, just start with it. I don't believe we have to go buy a bunch of expensive stuff. Just begin. And as you begin to see some business roll in, it might take a month or 3. I don't want to tell you it's for sure in the next week, but it will happen, and it's not forever. When you attract a client, they will love you and talk to you like a friend. I'll tell you, that's what happens. These are not like an internet lead, okay, where you're cold calling them. I don't know if you guys ever bought leads through Zillow or Trulia, but I have before. I don't do it anymore. I made money with it, but it was way too much work for the money that I made. But almost every lead that I called, I had to call 3 times. I had to fight to get them to listen to me. I had to fight to get a listing appointment. I had to try to close them 10 ways from Sunday to even let me show them the house that they created the lead on themselves. Okay. I did not find it easy. Like I said, I made money, but for the amount of time that it took to all that, I didn't even last a year at it. And then when I finally did one, I sold about a $300,000 house in Cathedral City, and I thought I had it wired. Oh, I figured it out. I then upgraded myself to Rancho Mirage. My sales tanked because I discovered that those more expensive uh, people who are requesting lead information, through a Zillow and Trulia, already had a friend or a brother or sister or somebody in the business. So I don't recommend you do that. But these leads that I'm talking about, they've watched your social media feed, they've watched your video, they've done a Google search on you, and it's all about you. You weren't thrown in front of them because of a house. They called you because they're looking for a type of property and they already believe you are the professional that can handle it. It is one of the second best leads. I'll say it's the number two lead that you will ever get. Your number one, well, let's say number three, because your number one is your mom. Okay. Number two are the people that your mom refers you. And number three are your friends within your sphere, okay, or the people who find you and like you and already believe. So it's in that two or three, depending on how you rank. But I'll tell you, that's a long way above. I can't get my fingers on the screen here, right? A long way above those 10 people, okay, that are down at when you're in the bottom 10 of internet leads. These are good leads. Twitter, I'm not in love. It's for really advanced users. If you're going to use it, it just was never my thing. I found enough business out of the other ones, but if you like it, I'll tell you, you'll make it work. Next door, I think, is probably the next big thing, and I think it's already happening as the next big thing. So if you haven't investigated that, it's worth it. I have looked at it somewhat, but I'll tell you, I'm still using it mainly just to hear what my neighbors are saying about my dog. So I do
Are
believe there is an avenue there.
are you
Sorry.
talking about the actual paid part of the Nextdoor app where
Yes.
they do the highlight? Yeah, okay.
Have you done any of that?
No, I wasn't sure like how the return on it. How I know the audience is great, and I sit there late at night and read all my neighbors,
Yeah.
comments, but I didn't know how profitable that would be in turn, if it translated to, oh, I'm going to go on Nextdoor app and look for a neighbor, somebody that's a
Right.
realtor, because I mean, you can throw a stick and hit a realtor here in Palm Springs, and
Right.
so
Yeah.
it's but I'll look into it some more if you think it's
I
might be
have the
something.
same I have the same apprehension about it, and that's probably why I haven't investigated yet. And I find that the most active people are the newest ones who have just moved here, who have a relationship with a realtor, and I feel like I'm trying to replace them. I believe there is a strategy there that can be employed, but I don't have that one figured out yet. So this is my social media profile. These are the things that I use. And when I was an agent, I'll tell you, I was doing just Facebook and YouTube, okay, and Google Business. I was just doing those three. Okay, as I've become a broker, I put in a couple of other ones and I'm doing it more. But these days I've got staff that help me, and there is a time commitment to these things. So, I mean, you need to leave yourself time to go out and do your showings and your listings and stuff like that. You need times with your spouse or your kids or health or your fun things in life. Whatever it is that you have to do. So, if you had to do just three, I would do Facebook, YouTube, and Google Business. And once Google Business is set up, you virtually aren't going to touch it anymore for a couple years. That's like a one-time thing that you do. Only Facebook and YouTube need constant feeding. The fourth column, okay? This is where it requires either a bigger commitment of time or money, okay, to do this here. And honestly, I don't really recommend you attack the fourth column until you've done the other two. Okay, if you aren't set up on the major real estate websites, which really, again, are a one-time gig, you're going to update them once a year or once every 2 years. your IDX link on those Zillow and Trulia sites and realestate.com and all those, they're going to update themselves automatically. But your social media, you're going to feed. And when you have both of those working well, you show up good in Google searches. And then you look at this. Now, let's go through them one at a time. And as you look at the list here, these are the ones that require a little bigger effort or money. So the website, okay, my personal belief is that if you have all of these other areas working and you're just a single agent out there selling, it's not the first place I would throw money. Now, there is some importance to it, and it does help us to brand ourselves, okay? But 9 times out of 10, those clients out there that are searching us, they're going to go to their favorite non-branded major real estate site and look for your information on there before they even pull up your own website. Now, if you did give them your card, maybe they would pull it up if it's on there, okay, on it. But they're usually going to start with a Google search. Usually those non-branded sites like Zillow and Trulia and all them show up higher in the rankings. And they're going to click on that and look at your profile. That's going to be their first click, 90% of the time. But there is still some value there. It's just don't make it in your first handful of things you do. Put it in that second tier of stuff that you attack and then go out there. If you're with one of the big brands, they might give you one for free. I know we do here at Remax. The next thing is farming. Now, I'll tell you, I believe farming is very important. This is the old-fashioned traditional farming, okay, where you're going to mail postcards. I really believe there is value there still. I know that people talk about, hey, the cards just all get thrown away or whatever. One of these days, well, you can look at my YouTube videos. If you ever do that online, I have a bunch of them. If you do Eric G. Meeks on YouTube, I do one in there, maybe even 2. I've kind of lost track. I've done 50 or 60 training videos now. But I do have a couple of them in there on farming. One day I'll probably even do that again because I believe farming is a multi-level marketing strategy. And I don't mean like selling Amway, but I mean you do the postcards, you look at them on Nextdoor, you're going to do targeted Facebook ads, you're going to find a charity within that development that they support, you're going to maybe knock on doors, although I don't love that one. I know some agents still do that. You're going to come up with you're going to look for expireds and FSBOs in that neighborhood. You're going to do and you're definitely going to do YouTube videos. I need to put that one up higher on the list. Do YouTube videos at whatever is your farm video. And as you start doing this on a multi-level in the neighborhood, you can see you begin to penetrate through that neighborhood better. But I do believe postcards are part of that. Your CRM database. I truly believe this. This is something that I really used, okay, when I started doing when I first built my database. And there is no cost on this. If you're with a branded brokerage, they probably have a CRM that you can use. You can go to Brian Ferry or Tom Ferry or Brian Buffini or whoever it is out there. They sell CRM database. There's Top Agent and Top Producer and whatever else on that there. I just always used Excel. I created my database in Excel, and then I can put it to wherever I want. Remax has a CRM. I do it through there. I do emails through Constant Contact. Well, you guys all got my invitation to this through BombBomb. Okay. All of those things for me start with my Excel spreadsheet. And when I first built my database, I did a couple of steps that are still the way to begin. Okay. So if you haven't done it, you go through your phone and you have your contacts, and everybody that you have taken the time to put an email address next to their contact name goes in your database. You go to your email, and I don't care if you use AOL or Yahoo or Gmail or Hotmail or whatever it is, you go to your email and you type in the letter A to the send column, right? And you get Arthur, Abigail, Anna, Adam, whatever else you get at Gmail, at Hotmail, whatever. You get all those ones. You type those names into your database. These are all people that are within your sphere. And I know some of you may be saying, I don't want to market to all of those people. Okay. I'll be embarrassed. I'll not know what to say. I don't even like that guy anymore. Whatever it is, do it. I'll tell you, it is this, the database, okay, is the number one thing that I did because you're going to put a newsletter out, okay, when you do this, and you're going to do it roughly once a month, okay, and you're going to look for people to add to your thing. When you finish it, I'll tell you, if you go through your phone, your contact list for email, your spouse's phone, your spouse's contact list, if you go through your social media, because right now you probably got 200 to 500 friends on Facebook, and look at the ones that are in there, and you start putting them into something like this, you're going to end up with a database of somewhere again between 200 and 500 people. That's where most people turn up on this. And you're going to send that first email out, that first newsletter out, and it's not going to be great, but you need to start. You got to go?
No, I got a question. How do you get on Facebook? How do you get your email list? Can you download that as a full list, or is that something you'd have to manually go through?
You got to manually go through it and look at the about column on each person, and not
And then
everybody
pull
puts in
that.
their email. Some of them just have like a Facebook generated email, which I really didn't use that one when I did it. I want it to be more to their personal
Yeah,
one.
the personal one. Yeah. Okay.
But that's okay because once you start, and let's say you only get 30% of the people because you haven't put everybody's email into your phone, and you don't get everybody's email when you go through your social media. Okay, your email when you do that, you'll get 100% of those when you do it. But you add all that together, and so maybe you got 20 or 30% of the people that you know. Another place that's worth it to do, and you might be able to get this from your broker depending on how they do paperwork. We use a system called SkySlope when our agents are inputting their paperwork. You might be able to download a list out of that, but definitely you want to go through the last couple of years of your client base and realize that if you're doing 100 deals a year, I just created a big job. But if you're doing 5 to 20 deals a year, it's not that big of a job. And just go back the last 2 to 5 years. Okay, you don't have to go back forever, but just go back enough because if you haven't talked to somebody in 10 years, okay, I'll even be honest, they probably dropped off my radar and I've dropped off theirs. But if it's the last couple of years, how many people you ever gotten a Christmas card from 3 years after you ever talked to them? You know, oh yeah, I wonder what's up with them. And maybe you spark a conversation. An email out of the blue will do the same thing with a percentage. Now, you're probably on your first email that you send out. You're going to have somewhere between 20 and 30% of the people that you send it to unsubscribe. And that's okay. Those people didn't want to talk to you. And we don't want to keep talking to the people that don't want to talk to us. And your second email will have somewhere around 10% unsubscribe. Again, it's okay. But on the third email, you're going to have a 20 or 30% open rate and only have a handful of people unsubscribe. And from that one, you're going to build a solid, stable marketing channel that's going to feed you business and leads forever. Okay, so, and that's the goal. You got to get through those first two emails, and you may generate some business out of those first two emails. Just because so many have unsubscribed doesn't mean you're not going to find a friend or two also, or reignite a friendship or two, because all of those people know you from somewhere. Okay, it's worth it. And it's worth a training session just in itself if you're not doing it. Your CRM database in your newsletter is one of the largest bricks in your foundation of business. There were two things that I did extremely well when I partnered up with Tracy in 2009. You remember when I was fired from Remax and I finally put away Farmville, okay, after playing for a month and I got serious? I did two things immediately, and my schedule was not so busy that I couldn't fit these things in. I began typing out a database, and it took me about a month, okay, because I was stumbling through figuring it out, and I had to fit in the time to do it, and I had to go pull the boxes out of the garage with the old paperwork of her deals, okay, because I wasn't even a realtor really yet, okay, and I would start building the database and going through my phone, and but I figured it out, and it took me about a month, okay. So building the database for my newsletter, I'm going to wrap those into one thing. That was one of the really important, significant things I did. The second thing I did, hard to bend a finger, well, wrong finger. Okay, we'll keep this finger up. Second thing I did, okay, on it was my YouTube videos. Because if the newsletter is going to make you 3, 5, or 10 deals, depending on how big your database is. These days, I have about 1,200 people in my database. Okay, and I still periodically send it out. I'm really not chasing business like I used to as an agent, but I still periodically send it out just to keep my client base alive. And mostly, I turn over them to my agents these days. But
What would you say that produces that 1,200 though each year? What do you think it is? Like 20
if I
deals,
was
30 deals,
doing it
100?
on a monthly basis, that was worth probably 10 deals a year. Probably on a low year, it was 7. On a high year, it was 15. But I mean, there were some times that we were doing 4, 5, and 6 deals a month. Okay, when you add up all of these channels, and yeah. But if you get yourself in that 1,000+ range, it'll provide you a deal a month. Now,
Yeah,
sometimes you may
yeah.
miss a month, but then some months you may get 2 or 3, and
I
that's
do
okay.
I do the newsletter every week, and I mean it does produce business for me. So
It
that's what I
does.
was just curious. But I'm about 300 right now, and I kind of put the number of like 25,000 for the business that I want to do is kind of what I put is like, okay, I needed 25,000 people in my database to get 100 million in sales or whatever. Is kind of what I.
If you ever wanted to, I'll tell you, send me 1 or 2 of your newsletters and let me see what you're sending out. I'll talk with you about it. It's definitely so. I mean, I've done hundreds of newsletters at this point. I might be able to make a suggestion, but I'll tell you, if you're sending anything, you're doing better than most agents. Okay,
Yeah,
on that.
I'm getting like a 30% open rate, just like you said. So I mean, it's
Mhm.
right on with that, and it was about the first 2 or 3 weeks of doing it that for me it was actually 2 or 3 months because I think it was I'm doing them every week. So, but I was losing people, and I still lose 1 or 2 every now and then because I'm adding more on there, and I think as you're adding more and more and more, some people are going to fall off that signed up or gave you their email that didn't want to anyways. But like you said, you want that filled with people that want to be in there anyways, because then you're already filtering it down and down. It's like
Right.
it's like prospecting without you even having to do anything.
It is. It is. And yeah, there's a strategy that's called the mayor campaign. I don't know. You ever take Brian Buffini's course?
Mm.
Uh, Tracy and I did, and we really liked it. His
Uh,
strategy of marketing really worked well with us. But there's a way to try to generate leads, and basically, it's anybody that you run into, and then just working into the conversation, a way of trying to get their permission to put on your newsletter without going right at it. And if you Google Brian Buffini, the mayor campaign, mayor campaign, you'll come across the script. Um, Probably a good thing to talk about some other time. But in essence, you're just going to ask them. Let me ask you, do you have a friend or a family member, somebody already in the real estate business that if you needed advice from, you could turn to? And if you can get that question to people, okay, and it doesn't matter if they say, well, it's hopefully they say no, but even if they say yes, okay, if they say, yeah, my sister's in it, my dad's in it, whatever, I got an uncle. Okay, you say, well, that's great. Everybody needs somebody in the business. Could I ask you a favor? Could you just stick my card in that drawer in the kitchen where you throw all the old screwdrivers and stuff? And if you ever need a second opinion, feel free to give me a call. Okay, so that's how you deal with the people who say yes, they've already got some. And you're just saying if you ever want a second opinion. The other way is if they say no, you say, well, a lot of people don't. That's what I do. Would it be okay with your permission? Could I add you to my list? Because if you ever want to think about buying a home, I'll tell you, I know lenders, I know how to put it together, but I send out a newsletter periodically of really great deals and real estate tips. Would you be okay with me adding you to that? And if they say no, that's okay. Give them your card, the second opinion. If they say yes, what's your name? What's your email? Do you mind if I get a phone number? Have you ever really thought about it? And you see where the conversation goes. But right there, you get that. And definitely anybody who ever gives you a business card. I don't care if they're a pool man or an administrator at your kid's school or whatever it is. They ever give you a business card, they go on the newsletter. Because if they don't want to be on it, they'll unsubscribe. And we all get them. Okay, so the newsletter. I've got enough that way. The charity, very important. I'll tell you, my wife and I, a lot of our charity deals with our kids and our kids' school. Remax partners up with children's hospitals, okay, of the country, but everybody should have a charity. This one friend, her thing is dog charities, okay, but you should have some sort of charity that if people get into that conversation, you can contribute to the conversation, and every now and then you participate in whatever their drive is. Because I just believe it's the right thing to do. We should all have some charity in us. Oh, wait. There we go. Went the wrong way for a second. Okay. Parties and events. This is something I know we can't do them right now under COVID, but I am dying to get back to them. Okay. I've been working on the outdoor setting at our house lately, trying to prepare for this as we come out of COVID, which it looks like we are doing it at this point. When Tracy and I really started putting these in, we made them coffee clatches. And in that newsletter that we would send out once a month, especially during high season, okay, you figure from October till April, okay, when we have all the seasonal visitors and those people we wouldn't have ran into anyways, we would simply put in our newsletter, hey, we're going to be down at the Starbucks at Sunrise and Ramon, okay, this Tuesday at 8 a.m. Anybody who wants to show up, happy to see you. And I'll tell you, when you've got a couple of hundred people, or in our case, 1,000 or so in there, you're going to get 1 to 5 people that show up. Okay, they're already your friends. They'll probably respond to the email and say, hey, I'm going to be out too. If I can fit it in, I'll see you there. You'll get that kind of message every now and then. But it's a great way of just putting yourself out there, and everybody knows that while you're going to it, you're showing up as a realtor. And they'll bring their real estate questions, and you'll be able to sift through your same people in a different way. And the ones that show up either really like you, want to see you, or want to do business. And if that one who wants to do business out of the 5 shows up, he's going to hear 2 or 3 other people talk about how great you were as a realtor and re-cement them as being not just a client, but one of your fans. The dynamics of putting in that sort of thing really work. When we started putting this out, because, and I'm not bragging here, guys, but when Tracy and I were at our best as real estate agents, and we're doing 40, 50, 60 deals a year, and after you close a deal, you're taking people to a dinner or a lunch or something like that, right? And you're spending them a little bit of time just thanking them for the business. So that was something that we did. Our amount of dinners out was beginning to infringe upon our time with our children. Okay, where like 2 or 3 times a week, especially between January and March, okay, we were so active with dinner reservations, we had to come up with another strategy. Our first strategy was we started doing the coffee clatches and meeting those same clients in groups, which worked well because anybody who showed up, this couple would find that this couple, oh, you're Canadian, we're Canadian. Oh, you're from the Midwest, I got an aunt there. They'd have those conversations, that go on. And so they'd make a new friend in the desert because they're probably a seasonal visitor and only know 1 or 2 of their neighbors as it is, and their other friends who told them they should buy out here. And you. And that's the extent of their desert friendship. So they didn't mind meeting somebody nice and new out here because remember, we're talking about dream clients. They already have something in common with you, which means they're only 1 step away from Kevin Bacon to liking that other person that you brought. Follow me? I prefer vinyl record parties these days. Okay, these days between our agents and our clients, and I can't wait to do one again. I like vinyl records, and so I started this about 3 years ago, where once a year, sometimes twice a year, depending on how it permits, I host a vinyl record party, and in my newsletter that I send out, and I do select a select group of people. Like I might send it to 100 of the 1,000 people, my A-list clients and best friends and family in the desert and my agents. And I'll say, hey, I'm going to host a vinyl record party in April. Anybody wants to show up? When's the last time you sat around and drank a beer or a glass of wine and listened to your favorite rock bands? All of us are old enough to remember doing that as a kid. Okay. You'll be surprised at the amount of people. For me, that's what worked. Okay, with it. And it's something I can't wait to do again. But you should have some sort of party event. I also do celebrity home walks, but not everybody can do those. Okay. Something that you put into there to make you reachable and attainable and personable. PS Life Homes, whatever you do, be consistent. This is costing money. Sometimes your brokers will do a co-op page where everybody pays $100 for a small business card size picture of your home. A full page ad is in the $600-700 range. At this point, depending if you're in the front of the magazine or the back of the magazine. Okay. I find that I very seldom generate business. I do sometimes generate business. We do Palm Springs Life ads for us. But is it profitable? Not a lot. But where I find the best use of it is that I bring my best ads of the houses I ran on my listing presentation so I can put that in front of the people. And you should be doing it when you pull down a listing that you're really proud of. Now, right now, everything sells so fast, so maybe we don't have to. But at some point, you got to look for that right timing where your wallet is fat enough and the home is cool enough that you can really make it work. And that's the one you do. So you can show it on a listing presentation. And then online advertising, I'll tell you, this is something that I'm doing more and more. And I've grown comfortable between Facebook Boost, YouTube ads, AdWorks, Instagram Boost, all of those things, seminars like this one. Okay. I'm doing a lot, okay, more these days of advertising digitally. And what I'm growing to like with it is I can be very targeted. Have any of you guys ever boosted a Facebook post?
Mhm.
The first time I ever did, it was to advertise an open house. Okay. And what I did was I advertised within a 25-mile sphere of the house I was doing an open house. I picked an age group that was a little bit older. I picked between 40 and 70. Okay. That I thought would like that type of house and be in the greater percentage of people who could afford that house. It was a house over in the Demuth Park area, but it was a $700,000 house. So it was a little higher than I thought, a younger person starting off could afford, but it helped. I got probably an extra half a dozen people that came to the open house that day because of it. I did some other things too to create it, but um, I am starting to become a bigger and bigger believer. And these days, as I'm creating funnels of dream clients and what this has morphed into, right now I'm just talking about the building a channel that is your foundation for dream clients. One of my more advanced courses that I do with agents is how to build a funnel of dream clients. I videotaped my last one and put it on YouTube. So if you ever want to watch that, you can. It is another hour or so, okay, on that one there. And it's very much like this where it's done in a Zoom format. But there are advanced courses in these things that are worth paying attention to. So there's the 4 pillars of real estate marketing. Now realize how many pillars are there?
There's more than that. 3.
So where's the 4th? The 4th is your broker, wherever you're at. And you don't have to have that because I'll tell you, I have known some very good agents that did not have a 4th pillar. And there was a while that I did not have a 4th pillar when I was at HomeSmart. In those days, HomeSmart really had no back end. I think they've got a little bit more now, but they still don't have what the other major brands have and bring to the table. Okay, so if you're with a major brand, you've got one extra pillar over most agents, or at least over those agents who do not. So we're reaching the end, guys. Do you think I'm full of bull?
No.
Did I pitch something here that you might attempt on your own?
Yes.
I will tell you, it will make a difference in your business. Okay, and if there's anything that I can do for you guys, it's okay to just call me or text me or, well, that's not my cell phone down there. Call me or email me. I will return calls I pick up, I respond to emails, and just as a thank you for attending today, if I can ever do anything for you guys, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for watching The Realtor Guy on YouTube. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, please like and subscribe to this channel. We release new videos just about every week with helpful tips for real estate agents in the Palm Springs area and around the world. Thanks again for watching. I'm Eric Meeks, The Realtor Guy, signing off.